He is the war terrorism expert for Fox News, and he's got a load of credentials. Rather than bore you with all the credentials, well, I wouldn't bore you. I'd probably impress you. But rather than take up his time, I wanted to talk to him. There was a story on the news. I guess I saw it last night, that there's video actually that the FBI was looking at that shows the second bomber up in Boston in the crowd where the 8-year-old boy was, and the 19-year-old who's in the hospital now was on, like, looking on a cell phone and dialing it, and I wondered if maybe he was actually, calling a device in the first bomb. I think, I don't know, I'm confused about this, but in other words, I wondered if he was detonating the bomb with his phone, and then he walks away, and he looks like he walks away just like everybody else is in a panic because the bomb is going off, and he's kind of calm looking, which of course upset the police up in Boston terribly. It upset everybody, and it should, because he puts the bomb right near the boy who died, and of course everybody died. David Hunt not only is an expert in these things, he was the counterterrorism coordinator to the Summer Olympic Games in Seoul, Korea, and served as security advisor for the FBI, so he knows about pressure cooker bombs, the Boston Marathon bombing, and he's written a book, believe it or not, that kind of coincides with this topic. It's called Terror Red, and he's on the phone. It's an honor to have him as well. Good morning, Colonel David Hunt.
Hi, good morning, guys. How are you?
Good, thank you for being on the air with us. I want to talk about the book, but I want to ask you a couple questions about what happened up in Boston.
Of course.
I never heard the term pressure cooker bomb before, because, again, I don't mess with bombs, so I wouldn't know them. And when I first heard it, I thought, well, what is a pressure cooker bomb? So could you educate me a little bit? Is it that difficult to make?
Yeah, we were introduced to pressure cooker bombs back in Afghanistan during the last 12 years. In Afghanistan and Iraq, they were used. There were other terms for them, but they're basically improvised explosive devices, IEDs.
Yeah.
And what you have is a container in which you pile in powder or other igniters and metal nails, ball bearings, things that will maim and kill. And you put a lid on it. You can put a timer inside. You can put a computer board. You can put a cell phone. The bunch of things you can put time you want or on a timer.
Wow.
It's very simple, as we saw in Boston, devastating, considering the size of this device. But it's, again, it's an IED, an explosive device, and they happen to use a household thing called pressure cooker.
So what is the exact explosive substance? Is it gunpowder?
In this particular case, it was gunpowder. They also, by the way, had three of them. There was many questions about the bomb. Why did these young men, these terrorists, stick around after they did after the attack? And it appears that because they threw a third bomb, pressure cooker bomb, at the police during the firefight in Watertown, and it actually exploded, and smaller pipe bombs. So they were going out to do more damage once their faces, they were, yeah. So they got fortunately caught by some very brave guys. But these are as powerful as you can. It depends on what kind of explosives you put inside, what kind of igniter, and what kind of devices do you add into that mix? Make it
because that's what kills people, is the things that out of it. Well, that plus the explosion, of course. So the ones that were handheld, you can actually have a handheld pressure cooker bomb?
Well, no, these are grenades. They would call grenades pipe bombs.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
You simple pipe, you pack in what you want, close up both ends, you have a fuse, or you can use a device to set them off. But and these kinds of devices, yes, you can be trained to use them. Also, you can find it on the internet. You can find them on jihadist websites.
Yeah, well, that's what they said. They said they got it off the internet.
Yeah, the one kid, but we're getting this from a kid who's and almost died from being shot.
Right.
And he's under drugs, and he's writing his messages. He's writing his answers. So there's going to be a while. For example, we still haven't talked to the wife of the older brother because for some reason the government's allowing her lawyer to negotiate when she comes forward, rather than just kicking her door in and arresting her as a suspect. So there are a lot of things we don't know. And what I did 5 years ago with a woman named Chris Hunsinger is we co-authored a book that talks about, not talks about, it's a novel about terrorism in Boston. We actually have an incident in Watertown.
Wow.
And in fact, and so because my background is terrorism, I fought it my whole life as a special forces. I spent 30 years doing this, and Chris, the co-author, is a political consultant and is actually right now the communications director for the governor of Rhode Island. So her character is herself, and the colonel in the book is me.
Wow.
And it came out the day after the bombing. Obviously, we couldn't talk about it last week because
my goodness,
of sensitivity, but it's a tragically prescient because it's Boston and New England terrorism attack. It's very, very realistic. It's a novel. I'm proud of the book, but it's sad, obviously, that it came out.
Oh my goodness! Well, actually, you should be maybe glad that it came out when it did, because at least you know that your book didn't influence these two guys.
Very good point. Thank you. I have not thought of it that way. So yes, of course I'm thankful.
Yeah.
The book is an extreme example because it's a novel. In compare, look what two young men. They shut down a city.
Right.
They riveted the world.
Right.
In our book, there's a lot more to actually the Muslim Brotherhood that do what they do, and geometrically in proportion, geometric in proportion is the amount of destruction that's happened.
Now, you mentioned the Muslim Brotherhood. I wanted to ask something and tell you something that I heard this morning. This morning, I read a story yesterday, actually.
Yep.
That said that the two brothers, especially the older brother, would attend a mosque, a Muslim mosque in the area somewhere up there, and actually be disruptive. In other words, the people of that mosque, the congregation, were, celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and the brothers didn't like that, so they were outspoken, and they kicked them out. They kicked them out of the mosque. Same thing with the 4th of July. They were talking about their 4th of July, what they wanted to do to celebrate. And so, in other words, it's not across the board that all Muslims agree with these two guys or with any radical element of Islam. And a report this morning said that actually some of the information that led to this guy, to the older of the two, was from that same mosque.
it is more than fair to say the following. Not all, obviously, not all Muslims are the period, of course not. But it is also say that the majority of the attacks we've had have come from people who have this belief. So my answer for this has been to understand that, and I would like us to be a lot more aggressive in infiltrating these organizations, whether be they mosques or meetings. I think
okay. So that's the practical use for that belief, because I've often wondered,
yes,
if we start to pinpoint who we think it is. I mean, it's not fair to say it's an entire group. But from your experience, I mean, you've done this for 30 years.
Yes.
So what that tells you is, okay, here's the tale sign of who we need to be looking closely at.
And yes, it does. And the FBI, unfortunately for the FBI and for also the victims, I mean, we have to appreciate that what happened in Boston, 180 plus wounded and 30 plus amputees, plus the killed to death.
Yeah.
That would be a major combat operation. And in the city of Boston, the people who came on that scene, so that was combat. And the city of Boston was under paramilitary siege for a week.
Yeah.
Tanks in the streets and
yeah.
armed
right.
men going in houses. So that was, a successful, unfortunately successful terrorism attack. And all I'm suggesting is, of course, no, we cannot paint everyone with the same brush.
Right.
But we have to be realistic in fighting and saying, look, we're getting hundreds of attacks from these kind of organizations. We have to get some intelligence on them, and the only way to do that is to infiltrate and try to get informants. I would do that against any religion or any group that was trying to attack us, and we talk about that in Terror Red, and like I said, 5 years ago we wrote it. Never wanted it to really happen.
That's amazing.
Come out during this.
What's her out time, Robin? What's
7:45.
Oh, we gotta hurry. Oh my goodness, I have so many more questions, Colonel. The book is called Terror Red. It's just a fascinating coincidence, and does the book conclude in any way that can maybe help us understand this thing in the actual attack?
Yes, and it's got a good ending, but yes, and the core, yes, the answer to your question directly is yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to go after the root of this, and we addressed that in the book.
Okay, it's called Terror Red. Colonel David Hunt wrote the book. Do you use your title on the cover?
You bet. So on the front cover, New York Times best-selling author and the co-author Chris Hunsinger, which is on the front cover in big yellow white letters.
Chris Hunsinger and Colonel David Hunt. Colonel, thank you for being on us today. I know you are getting calls from every radio station, so thank you so much for being on the air with us today.
You're welcome. Take care, guys.
All right, fascinating. We'll take a little break and be right back.
In citrus industry news on Southeast AgNet, Florida's Agriculture Department will pay much of the cost of weather stations for citrus growers and other agriculturists. The University of Florida's Kelly Morgan discusses the cost of the stations.
If you have a current irrigation system, you may want to use their compatible weather station. Those are a little bit more expensive. You can get some weather stations from internet sources that are a little cheaper, but you have to do the installation and maintenance yourself. So the range is somewhere